Bitcoin came back down to the level that I expected from my yesterday's analysis. In this video today, I want to show you how you can determine where tomorrow's candle will lead things, which will greatly affect altcoins one way or another. And it's a very simple trick. So are you ready for this? You better be. Let's go. All right, I'm working with one monitor today, so I'll have to, pop up my other programs I typically have on my other screen. What we have working with here are a bunch of arrows that I've mapped out across most of Bitcoin history. I have selected areas of lower highs in which specifically there was a bearish engulfing candle, bearish engulfing. And what that means is, if I can zoom in on this one, because this one barely engulfed it. Engulfing just means you have that's technically not even a bearish engulfing. That's a bad example. So this one is. So a red candle that consumes or is bigger than the previous green candle, essentially, right? But particularly on lower highs. All right. And so let's take a look here. So if this candle closes above this is the daily chart. If it closes above here, then the next day has a chance to be a green day. I wouldn't expect it to be too big of a green day because I'm not expecting any type of rally, but the closure of this candle will give you a better statistical odds of figuring out if there's going to be another red day or not. So if this candle closure of today's candle closes lower than the lowest point of this candle, then the statistical likelihood, because we're on a lower high here, so lower high after lower high after lower high, so we're in a downtrend, right? So, high, lower high, kind of had a fake out, lower high, lower high. Because the statistical chances of it'll keep going down, if this candle closes and engulfs this, then the next day will very statistically likely be red. If it does not engulf it, it still has a chance of being red. Don't get me wrong, but the chances are much, much greater of this micro range. That's more easy to see. That's a lot easier to see on the 1 hour chart. So I'm not on the right time frame to see what's going on within this little range I have down here. But in my yesterday's analysis, I let everybody know, hey, you know what, folks, this rally is not going to continue. I explained all the reasons why, and you might want to check out that video. I used some of my proprietary indicators to show you why I was very, very confident that rejection off the monthly 10, which is this line I have drawn in, was going to be it. And I said it's going to either come back down and hit this 3/4 line or the top of this line, which is today has come back exactly between those lines. So, but tomorrow though, if Bitcoin, again, closes below this point, it's extremely likely tomorrow's red. If it doesn't, then I still think it's fairly likely, but your trading edge goes away a little bit, right? Okay, now let's check this out. So let's look at all these bearish. So we're going to look at the blue arrows. And you had so high, lower high, lower high. This was a bearish, so it engulfed the previous candle, and then the next day was red. So this is more of a short-term time frame analysis. Some of my analysis for new viewers are not such short-term time frame, but right now, Bitcoin, it's more interesting on the short-term time frames, in my opinion. And other days, I'll do long-term analysis, which I'll link you to at the end here. So high, lower high, bearish engulfing, red candle. Okay, it's a very good hit rate. High, lower high, bearish engulfing, red candle followed. High, lower high, bearish engulfing, big red candle followed, so on and so forth. And so you get the gist, but you can just see how all these blue candles, it's the same thing. It's a lower high, bearish engulfing, and it goes down every single time like clockwork. So it's an extremely high probability, if this were to close to bearish engulfing, that tomorrow's going to be a decently red day. And it could be a big red day where price comes down to the bottom of this range, closer to 40,900 or 41K roughly. Now, if today at the end of the day, so this day only has 2 hours left, if the last 2 hours really tank and like today is a huge red candle, then tomorrow statistically actually has a good chance of getting a daily bounce. Now, would that bounce turn into recovery? No, but if today closed really bad and it engulfed it plus some, then you typically get a bounce the next day, and just for a 1 day bounce with a shelf life. And I've given an orange. I only found one example of this because there are plenty more, but when you have a high, a lower high, and it not only engulfs it, but goes a lot farther down than that candle, you typically have a little rally off of that monster red candle, but that's not what we're getting right now. And it doesn't, with only 2 hours left in this day, I don't anticipate that happening. But if it did happen in the next 2 hours, you could probably let yourself know, hey, I probably need to close out shorts and maybe, play a counter trend trade, and then maybe look for the trend to continue thereafter after a couple of days, something to that effect. So those are the three major options that we're working with Bitcoin right now. So I would be eyeballing this daily close. And again, even if this closes above, I think it still has a good chance of coming back down here. But if today closes, it also has a good chance of tomorrow coming back up to test the tops of these candles. I wouldn't say it's going to test these wicks, but if it closes, it has a better closing and it closes up here somewhere, tomorrow has a chance of being a green day. So I would probably, walk my stops up on my shorts in that case, depending on this closure. But if this closes, far below it, I would manage my stops for my short positions a lot differently. And that is what I'm looking for on Bitcoin price action today. All right, so again, I'm down a monitor. Sorry about that. So if you want to see a more long-term analysis and you're newer to this channel, go ahead and click this video right here. It shows you why the carnage to the downside really could last until September. And if you want to watch my yesterday's analysis on Bitcoin to see how I forecasted how this price action was going to happen for today, go ahead and click this video right here. And if you're new to my channel, hit the circle in the middle to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.